Um, Strong Every Day is, of course, an outreach of Standing Strong Ministries, where we stand strong for miracles, wonders, and signs every day. Every day, we stand looking for those. You know, um, this is just such a great opportunity to be here with you again today. Dr. Strong is out again today. Well, he isn't out, but right now he is in Kentucky preaching the word of God in his 3-week, 4-week. I believe this is the 4th week of his revival coming up. Um, you know, so he just asked me to come out and take over for a little bit on the streams to help his voice, help him, uh, not be as, I guess, just to help his voice, preaching a lot, that does something to your voice, man. So today, I also want to remind you guys, actually, we do have a couple upcoming events. We will be in, let's see, I can't remember the dates, but not this Saturday, but the next Saturday we will be in Washington, Iowa. We'll be doing a KFI men's retreat in Washington, Iowa. And after that, he will be in, I believe it's Hassel Cane, North Carolina, or close to that. And then he'll be in, Kyoto, Oklahoma. And then we will be in Alabama after that. But, just quick announcements there for you. Remember also to follow us on all of our social medias, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, Periscope, all of these options where you can get with us, fellowship with us, and meet us every day at 11:30 on here to see the stream. So as you saw in the title today, we are going to be looking at we're going to be talking about reading the Devil's Playbook. And right now, I believe that no matter where you are in your relationship with God, no matter where you are today, whether you're in a storm, whether you just got out of one, you always need to increase your knowledge. You always need to increase what you know. And so today, we're going to take a look at the story of the strongest man to ever probably walk this earth. And his name was Samson. Everybody knows who Samson was, man. Strong man Samson. But we're going to talk about the trials of his life. What caused him to fall? What caused him to end up where he ended up? And before we figure out these plays, we're going to look at his life real quick. We're going to look at his life. So when you look at the life of Samson, before he was born, he was anointed, and he was promised to God to be a Nazirite. And a Nazirite is a person that serves God and that is separated and consecrated for the Lord. He was separated from everyone else. He was going to be different. This was automatic. He was going to be different from everyone else. And how was he separated? He had rules that he had to follow as a Nazirite to be counted as a Nazirite, to be different, to be separated, to be consecrated for the Lord. The first rule that he had to follow was that he was never allowed to drink alcohol. As a Nazirite, you were never allowed to drink alcohol. The second rule was he was never allowed to touch anything dead, whether it was a dead animal, whether it was a dead relative, dead person. He couldn't touch anything dead. And the third rule was that you can never cut your hair. When Samson was being born, God sent an angel and talked about him, since he was being consecrated, said that he would have this supernatural strength and that he should never let a razor touch his head, because as long as he has his hair, he will have his strength. That's what was promised to him and his family. As long as you don't touch your hair, don't cut it, don't trim it, don't cut it, leave it, let it grow. And as long as you do that, you will, well, for one, he'll be a Nazarite, because Nazarites weren't allowed to cut their hair. And two, you will have the supernatural strength that I'm giving to you. And I'll tell you what, a little spoiler here, but he broke all three of the rules of a Nazarite. So to dig in on the trials that he went through that caused Samson's fall, to read the playbook of the devil. And the first thing, I'm gonna give you the first play here, but everyone, if you're gonna turn and read the Bible with me here, you're gonna turn to Judges 14. We're gonna read verses 1 through 3, and it says this: Samson went down to Timnah and saw there a young Philistine woman. When he returned, he said to his father and mother, I have seen a Philistine woman in Timnah. Now go get her for me as my wife. His father and mother replied, Isn't there any acceptable women among your relatives or among all of the people here? Must you go to an uncircumcised Philistines to get you a wife? You see, now this is the first play. The first play that started the downfall of Samson was lust. You see, he went to the wrong place. He went to the wrong place. He went to a Philistine village to look. And I mean, it doesn't even say what he was doing. He was just walking, and he walked into this village and saw a woman. And, it wasn't just a woman. It was a Philistine woman. A Philistine woman, and by that, she was his enemy. She was his enemy. And he still wanted to marry her. That's why her parents fought so much. But not only that, but when we learn about this, in Joshua 23:12, it talks about this. It says this, But if you turn away and ally yourselves with the survivors of these nations that remain among you, and you intermarry with them or associate with them, then you may be sure that the Lord your God will no longer drive out these nations before you, and instead they will become snares and traps to you, whips on your back and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this good land which the Lord God has given you. God told them not to intermarry with other countries, especially countries that did not praise him. Do not intermarry with the enemy. Do not intermarry with other countries that do not worship me. That is what he was saying. Excuse me. But, he was in the wrong place, wanting the wrong thing. He wasn't there for the reason that he probably should have been. God told them not to intermarry, but he did anyway, and he started to fall into the trap of lust. And I'm going to say this, lust isn't just the opposite gender. It isn't just for the opposite gender, but it also is this. Lust is choosing to charge after something other than God. I'm going to charge after this woman more than I am going to seek God. I'm going to charge after this new job. And in that job, I'm going to chase for a new promotion, a new raise over my race and chase towards God. I'm going to chase money over God. I'm going to chase cars over God. I'm going to chase my house after God, over God. That is what lust is. When you choose to do something over God. When you choose to chase after something over choosing to chase after God. So he decided to chase after a woman over God. And whenever we start to feel this way about something, we need to do a self-check. You need to start checking yourself. What is it we need to change our direction? Because once you start heading in the direction of lust, you will fall into the trap and you will start to fail. You will start to fall. You lose the power in his life, in your life, that he was there. You can only fail when you walk in lust. You can only fail when you walk in lust. That's such a big thing. He failed. This is how his life started to fail. And that's because he was walking in lust. But, lust wasn't his only downfall. His second one was this. The second play in the Devil's Handbook that started the fall of Samson was entitlement. In Judges 14, verses 5 through 9 now, turn back, we're going to continue reading. It says this. Samson went down to Timnah together with his father and mother. As they approached the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion came roaring towards him. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, so that he tore the lion apart with his bare hands, as he might have torn a young goat. But he told neither his father nor his mother what he had done. Then he went down and talked with the woman, and he liked her. See, there's the continuation of the lust. Now continue on to verse 8. Sometime later, he went back to marry her, but he turned aside to look at a lion's carcass, and he saw a swarm of bees and some honey. He went and scooped out the honey with his hands and ate it and went along. When he rejoined his parents, he gave them some of the honey, and they ate it as well. But he did not tell them that the honey was taken from the lion's carcass. See, this is the first time we see Samson use his supernatural strength. This is the very first time that you see him use his strength that God gave him. But it is also the first time that you see Samson fail. He disobeyed one of the rules of the Nazarite, and that was he could never touch anything dead. He went and reached in the dead lion and scooped out the honey. So this is both a great moment in his life in both ways. This is a great moment. This is the good from, you see his strength be able to protect him. But then you also see his weakness, and he went in and fell and ate the honey. You see, I believe that he felt that he was entitled to the honey, which is the second play in the Devil's Playbook here, which is entitlement. But he felt entitled to the honey because he killed it. Lust says, I want it. I want it. This is what I want. This is what I want. That's lust. Entitlement says, because I want it, because I deserve it. You see, I've worked so hard. I deserve a little extra. I deserve a little extra. I deserve something on the side here. We let entitlement justify our sin. We let entitlement justify our lust. And I just see that right now this generation seems to use entitlement a lot, and it's very disturbing. We as Christians know that we don't deserve to be saved. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve to be loved by God. We don't deserve to be a part of God's family because of the sins that we did. But we know that He loves us anyway, and He will continue to use us, and He'll continue to love everybody. He loves us so much that He wanted us in His family. Now, do we deserve it? No. And that's what we also need to get apart in the mind of not just this generation, but all generations, is that we don't deserve anything because, we don't deserve anything without God. Without God, we're nothing. Without God, we've never, we're just not there. Without Him, we're nothing. So we don't deserve anything. We need to get rid of the mentality of entitlement. But another thing sparked my interest in this little section here. It said that he turned aside from the path that he was on. You see, that's big to me. He turned aside from the path that he was supposed to be walking on and went back to look at the lion. He turned aside to go look at his past victories. He turned aside to go look at the past. Think about that. He turned aside from the path that he was supposed to be on. Now, this is the second time that we see him disobeying the Nazirite laws. This is the first time we see him disobeying the Nazirite laws. This is where he falls. He ate something and touched a dead animal. He turned aside and was living in his past victory. And he gained entitlement from that. He gained, I killed it. Why can't I have what's in it? He just took it. But in that, he broke one of the Nazirite rules. And not only that, but when he went in there and got the honey, not only did he eat it himself, but he brought it to his parents and got his parents included. We cannot allow ourselves to be turned aside from the path that we're supposed to be walking. We can't allow ourselves to get to that point. We can't allow ourselves to get distracted by our past, to get distracted by, every other little thing that we did. And we need to have confidence and know that it doesn't matter what I did. It doesn't matter what happened. I'm going to move on because I know the Lord has saved me. I know that God has, I'm persevering through God. And we just need to be thankful for Him. And the third and last thing from the last play here is pride. We're going to read Judges 14:10-20, and it says this. Now his father went down to see the woman, and there Samson held a feast, as was customary for young men. When the people saw him, they chose 30 men to be his companions. Let me tell you a riddle, Samson said to them. If you can give me an answer within 7 days of the feast, I will give you 30 linen garments, 30 sets of clothes, and if you can't tell me the answer, you must give me 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. So the men said, let us hear your riddle. He replied, out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. For 3 days they could not give an answer. On the fourth day, they said to Samson's wife, coax your husband into explaining the riddle for us, or we will burn you and your father's household to death. Did you invite us here to steal our property? Then Samson's wife threw herself sobbing on him. You hate me. You don't really love me. You've given my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. I haven't even explained it to my father or mother, he replied. So why should I explain it to you? She cried a whole 7 days of the feast. So on the seventh day, he finally told her, because she continued to press him. She in turn explained the riddle to her people. Before sunset on the seventh day, the men in the town said to him, "What is sweeter than honey, and what's stronger than a lion?" Samson said to them, "If you have not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." Then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went to Ashkelon, struck down 30 of the men, stripped them of their clothes, stripped them of everything, and gave their clothes to those who had explained the riddle. Burning with anger, he returned to his father's home, and Samson's wife was given to one of the companions that attended him at the feast. You see, first of all, we're going to talk about the second rule that he broke, and that was that he should never drink, should never put alcohol to his lips. And he did this actually at his bachelor party. When you look at it, it was a custom to have two multiple men come to your party. You see it talked here, where was it? Customary for young, so they had a feast that was customary, and they brought in 30 men to be his companions there. So at his bachelor party, he broke the second rule and drank alcohol. He figured that he could take some and be fine because he was strong. It's okay. It's okay. I can take it. I can. Everything will be fine. I can take it. But in all reality, pride comes before the fall. You see, the power of pride also adds on to lust and entitlement. Because lust says I want it, entitlement says I deserve it, and pride says I can have it. Just doing this once won't kill me. You can look at that in many ways. One drink, one puff, one smoke, one car payment, one house, one house payment, one look won't hurt me at all. But in the end, the strongest man in the world couldn't hold it. What makes you think that you can? When the enemy wants to destroy or devour you, he will come at you and bring these three plays. If you've done it once, if you've done one of these or all of them, don't feel the shame today. Don't feel shameful if you've fallen into these today. Just turn back to the Lord. Give it back to him. See where you fall and move into where he wants you. See where you've fallen, realize where it is, and return to the Lord. Don't put yourself in those situations of failure like Samson did. And in the end, through all of his pride, you look at his story, he met Delilah. And in the end, Delilah was his downfall. He gave up his secret and broke the third rule of being a Nazirite and cut his hair. And he became weak and was put as a slave. But in the end, when he gained his hair back, he came back to the Lord. He came back to the Lord and worked for him and killed all of those Philistines in the temple that were laughing at him. So remember, there's always a chance for you to come back. God's arms are always open and ready for you. And always be aware. Always, always, always be aware of the plays in the devil's handbook that might be in your life, that might be coming after your life. So just stay spiritually strong today. Stay there. Look, check in your life, make sure you're living right, make sure, lust hasn't started to creep in, that entitlement or pride hasn't tried to creep into your life yet. Just make sure today, give yourself a double check. But yes, we cannot fall into the devil's playbook. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. We just want to thank you guys for always being here, being with us. If you'd like to give today, there's 4 simple ways you can do that. You can type in #donate. It will shoot you a link if you're on Twitter or Facebook. If you type that in, it'll shoot you a link. Go in there after the stream, fill it out. The second way is you can text STRONG to 888-364-4483. If you don't want to do that, there's always Cash App and Venmo. You can do that at SSM Strong. Or, if you don't want to do any of those, there's always the classic way of doing it on our website, standingstrongministries.org. You can just go there. There's a place to donate and stuff. And, we're so appreciative to all of our monthly givers and to all of our one-time givers that just give every once in a while. We're so thankful for all of you because our ministry runs because of you, and we thank you for that. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.